Hello, welcome back to another week of Proper Punters. You'd notice that I'm not on the casting couch this week. Mace is playing hurt, but we still have Glyn with us. How's your week been, mate?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. Almost as good as last week's tips. They weren't quite 4 from 4, but we had a good week, didn't we?
Yeah, you had a really good week with the bets. Your best bet got up. Obviously, when we put these bets on, we do put them onto place. You had Moby Dick, who came second. Via Sistina, who came second. Shadows of Love came third. So just got that one there. And then Extravagant Star, who was in your bet as well, came first and won.
They're all in the CrossBet multi, are they?
Yeah, they're all on your BTFU hub under CrossBet. So make sure, again, all of these multis, they will be under the BTFU hub on CrossBet. So make sure you go ahead and get straight into that. Download the CrossBet app if you haven't already. But these aren't the only bets that we have up. Obviously, we put plenty of bets into the Discord. Our late mail from Mace and Glyn for the racing, and then obviously myself for the rugby league. There's plenty of late mail in there. So make sure you don't miss out on any of that. There is exclusive content, best bets, and most of the bets in the Discord actually get up more so than what these ones do. So if you want to have a good punt this weekend, you want to get some good luck with your punting, make sure to go ahead and get into the Discord. If you need any help, contact Mace or any of the other admins in the WhatsApp currently, or shoot us a text on Instagram. But yeah, obviously you had plenty of success with your best bet. Aaron also had a little bit of success, 2 from 4. Wee Nessie came first, and Via Sistina obviously came second. Now, we have to talk about it because it was probably one of the better runs of the weekend. Pride of Jenny.
Well, it's one of the most bold, dynamic rides and races you've seen. I mean, the commentator nearly fell off his chair, Darren Flindell. It was great. I mean, such bold tactics. I don't think anybody thought that. I mean, she always leads strongly and by a long way, but to do that and to keep running, she just ran the field ragged. But quite surprising. I was listening to Chris Waller's comments. You know, he obviously had the beaten favourite in Via Sistina, and he was pretty. I wouldn't say downbeat, but he was a little bit. You could hear he was a bit miffed about the tactics adopted by those horses that were running second and third that didn't cart the rest of the field up to that runaway leader, and of course the times for the race were pretty slow. So your stats people are going to tell you that the rest of the field gave the leader a much too big a start and it was impossible to reel her in. But what a run, what a ride, and what a performance!
And I mean, check the tapes. I'm pretty sure Mace said no one's going to beat Via Sistina. He said it in the preview when he did his best bet. So
bad luck, did.
Yeah, I know. Bad luck for both of you guys. Obviously, you both had him in your bet, but if you had the bet on, you still would have won because it was a place.
I'll tell you what was even as maybe it wasn't as evident as a good a run was the winner of the Sydney Cup.
Circle of Life.
Circle of Life. I think I touched that he wants to over race. He's drawn wide. He's not sure where he's going to get. If he covers ground at Randwick over 2 miles, it was going to be difficult for him. He had a jockey that came in from overseas, and I said he's like he's a world-class jockey. He's ridden all over the world, and in Andrea Adzeni, and he was exactly to script. He jumped and he pulled his arms off for the first 800, 900 meters. He was 3-4 wide with no cover. Up the hill at Randwick towards the mile, he just covered ground, and he actually made ground on the field. He never got cover the whole race, and at the end of a 2-mile race, he was pulling a margin away on them. So that was an unbelievable performance over 2 miles. Something that was, I think Kieran Ma, with those 2 winners on the day, certainly shows how strong his stable's firing at the moment.
I mean, a great day for day 2 of the championships. Let's see if day 3 can be just as good.
Yeah, day 3 is the last day, so there's a couple of good races. We got the Champagne Stakes and, of course, the All-Aged.
Let's get straight into it. We'll kick off with race 5, the Hallmark Stakes. Obviously, number 1, Marzu, has a good record at 1,200 metres with 4 wins, 1 second and 4 thirds. However, he isn't the favourite in this race. Talk to me about some horses that you are liking.
Yeah, look, Marzu's by far the best performed horse in the race. He's a place getter in an Everest. He's multiple Group 1 placed, and not many of these have even contested those races. I really like Front Page. He's the favourite. He's really the only dominant front runner in the race. It looks like he's going to be able to control the race. There's a lot of rain around it. They're tipping a lot of rain Saturday morning. We had a big shower earlier this afternoon, so the track's already in the soft range. If they get the 20 or 30 mils they're expecting in the morning, the track's going to run up a soft again. The rail's out 7 metres. That means it's going to favour horses on speed, and of course they've got to handle the wet ground if we get to that stage. So with Front Page, he's won 2 Kosciuszkos over the course and distance. So he loves the track. He loves the distance. Of course, he was a runner-up or place getter the other day in a Group 1. And, of course, Tyler Schiller, no one's riding much better than he is. He's my pick for the race, even though he's favourite. Marzu, I can't really see him coming back to his best form at this point. And hard pressed to find really another selection.
Well, I mean, friend of the show, Rachel King, is riding Rocketing By. Is there any chance in this race?
Of course. Look, Rachel has had a bit of a quiet carnival. She went off to Japan for a bit of a stint, and maybe that's just taken the wind out of her sails for the carnival here. But, you can't keep them down, the good riders down for that long. Definitely has a chance. Kalino as well for the Wallace stable. Aft Cabin had no luck in the TJ. He's coming back, obviously, a lot in grade from that race. Look, if Marzu finds a bit of his form, his third run for Joe Pride. But I think they're all going to be chasing shadows with Front Page. Maybe Aft Cabin Marzu to fill the minors.
Yep. Well, let's see how we go in that race. We'll move on to the next one now. Race 6, the Toyota Forklifts JRA Plate. City of Lights is a horse you have spoken about before on the podcast, obviously quite positively. Is this horse a chance at the 850 mark on CrossBet?
Yeah, look, she's obviously a half-sister to Winx. And look, I was having a look at her record. She's 4 wins from 7 starts. That's still a pretty impressive. I don't think Winx was 4 from 7 at this stage of her career after 7 starts. I'm not saying that she's going to turn into a Winx. But look, I think she's certainly one to give a lot of consideration to. She's drawn a bit wide. Very dominant win on the Kenzo track, her last start. But I think Annabelle Neesham pretty much holds the key to this race, with Bois d'Argent dropping back from a mile and a half to a mile and a quarter, which is 2,400 back to 2,000. Faulkner Park was a very dominant winner in the Albury Cup. Drawn soft, low barrier, low weight. But one I also want to talk about is Goldman. This horse was on everyone's lips in the spring. He looked like he was touting like he was a really progressive type of horse. I think maybe the good races came a little bit too soon for him. He's come back with 2 fantastic trials. Obviously, he's got to win first up over 2,000 metres. And I've got a little sneaky suspicion that a horse like Navajo Peak for David Payne's going to run well in this race. He's runs this time in. On paper, they don't look they've been that good, but he's had excuses. He's been off the track. He's been wide. He's been in group racing. He drops back to this race, which is just obviously the JRA Plate. It's not quite a group race with the quality of horses, some of the horses that he's contested. And then, of course, we've got New Energy. Gee, this horse, his trial the other day, in between runs, was really impressive. He just hasn't got any form over the distance. McDonald rides, he's drawn awkwardly, so I'm still tipping that one of Annabelle's horses in Faulkner Park or Bois d'Argent are the 2 to beat. I'm going to have a sneaky suspicion that Navajo Peak will run in the money, and then maybe it's a toss-up between City of Lights and New Energy for 4th.
Well, there you go. Let's get into a race that you were very excited about at the start of the podcast. Race 7, the Moet and Chandon Champagne Stakes. Yeah. What are we thinking in this race? Obviously, there's a few really talented horses in this one. What are we thinking?
Look, I think Manal is going to go back-to-back Group 1 wins. I can't see any other horse in this race really matching her form. She was an eye-catcher in the Golden Slipper. Then she came out and won the Sires at her next start. She's now going to have to try and win the Moet and Chandon Champagne Stakes. Godolphin have got a runner in the race. It's last start Randwick winner. Fearless went down to Melbourne to win. He's contested some nice races, but I think they're all going to be hard-pressed to catch Manal. Looks like it runs the trip, gets back, runs home strongly. Was the best horse finishing last time over 1,400, and I think up to the 1,600 proves hard to beat.
Well, James Cummings obviously got a horse here, Broad Shining, that you've listed here. Obviously, it's won its only race at the track.
Yeah.
Talk to me about this horse.
Yeah, so I said he's last start winner at the track, which obviously, when you're running a 2-year-olds over a mile, they've got to have a bit of stoutness about them. They've got to have a bit of strength. And, of course, they've got to have a bit of form. Whether that form's strong enough to beat Manal, who's got multiple races in Group 1 company that she's performed admirably at and won at, I think Manal's got the race. If she's going to but perform well at the back end of her campaign. She should be hard to beat.
All right, well, let's get into the final race we're talking about on the show today. Race 8, the Schweppes All-Aged Stakes.
Yeah.
Is Private Eye a horse to strongly consider? Obviously, it's won 64% of its races at Randwick.
Mm-hmm.
Espiona, obviously, certainly an unlucky in the TJ behind Chain of Lightning.
Well, pretty much a certainty beaten. She got held up for at least 100 metres, got out maybe 100 metres from the 150 from the line, looked to hang in when Nash just wanted her to go straight and run through the gap. She eventually got in there and just failed. Of course, the winner of that race, Chain of Lightning, is in here as well. NCAP is down in the weights for 3 lots, not down in the weights, but it's receiving weight. But yeah, I think maybe Private Eye has not maybe covered himself in glory this prep. We know he's a super talented horse, but yeah, I think Espiona makes amends for her defeat in the TJ, I think. Maybe NCAP to run a place. We can't, of course, forget Southport Tycoon, who was a Guineas winner at Flemington. He's freshened. He's back from 1600 to 1400. He's freshened. He's had 6 weeks between runs. Likes to stalk the speed and has a nice turn of speed as well. So really, really strong race. But I'm tipping Espiona to beat Southport Tycoon and maybe NCAP and maybe Chain of Honour.
Well, there's actually a horse in here.
Chain of Lightning, sorry.
There's obviously a horse in here that's got a 50% win rate at the moment and has got a bit of a record at the track. Number 10, Sunshine in Paris.
Yeah.
Talk to me about this horse.
Well, she was a Group 1 winner against the mares. Nice to see that Ryan Maloney's coming back to ride her. She's had her best runs with him on. He knows her like the back of his hand. Wouldn't be surprising to see it pop up as well. Interestingly, that the mares seem to hold the key to this race, which is not generally the case. But yeah, any one of that you've mentioned or I've mentioned there wouldn't be a surprise winner.
All right, with all that in mind, what's your best bet for the weekend?
Race 8, number 4, Petronius, was a runner-up, I think, in a Magic Millions race behind King of Sparta. If he was in this race, he'd just blitz them. I think he wins. Press Link in race 9, number 5, I think it's unbeaten. Goes into a listed race. Of course, faces his toughest test. And I think he'll remain unbeaten. And then we're going to come back to Randwick and race 6, number 4, Bois d'Argent. I think I'm going to go with him because he's got a little bit more wet track form.
Well, let's see if you're just as lucky as you were last week. Now, Mace's bets, they will all be on the Discord, obviously through his late mail. He's not here today, so he doesn't have a best bet for this weekend. So all of Mace's bets for this weekend will come through his late mail, and obviously quite successful at the moment with his late mail on the Discord as well. We're getting some really, really good pop-ups on there.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your Saturday double. What's a horse that you think in its race could run in the top 2?
I'll be surprised if this horse doesn't run anywhere outside of the top 2. It's Front Page. I really think this horse is like he's going to control the race from the front. If it rains, he likes soft ground. Not really sure about the heavy, but I think he'll just prove too strong.
Yep, I agree. Let's see. It's going to be a very entertaining race 7, and we've got a very big weekend of racing, obviously, with the last day of the championships. My best bet for the weekend, my Scrum multi, if you were on the Scrum show, if you watched the Scrum show, you would have already seen it, but my multi is the Broncos, the Eels, and the Manly Sea Eagles to get the job done this weekend, $2.64. All of these bets will be under the BTFU Hub on CrossBet, so if you haven't already, make sure to go ahead and download the CrossBet app and get straight into the BTFU Hub. You can put our multis on one click. Now, yeah, I mean, let's see if you're just as lucky this weekend.
Would like to be. It's great because the carnival's over. All the good racing's finished in Sydney. We've got a couple of weeks where we go. I think Scone, Gosford have a meeting, maybe Hawkesbury, and then of course we're up to Queensland for the winter, and that's some great racing up there too.
Yep, can't wait.
What are you prepared to lose today? Set a deposit limit. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.